You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, sir.
Goes by the name of John Bunn. And boy, does he have a story.
Wrongly convicted for 14 to 17 years.
I did 17 years wrongfully convicted.
Wow.
Now
He was only 14 years old when this happened.
everybody in prison says they didn't do it. So what makes your story absolutely true?
I'm actually innocent.
Okay.
I'm saying, like how you said, it's a lot of people that actually say they innocent, but I was actually railroaded and I was locked away and threw away, you know what I'm saying, without a key to actually get out. They framed me, you know. It took me 27 years to actually bring that truth to light, but there was a lot of issues along the way that was red flagged and was out there that they never really tried to expose, and it took me a long time to actually get that truth exposed, but it's exposed now, so you know.
What did they accuse you of doing? Explain what happened.
They accused me of murder and attempted murder.
Where you from, New York?
I'm from Brooklyn.
Now
I'm from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. It was actually 2 off-duty correctional officers that they accused me of killing back in 1991 when I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What actually happened was a crime was actually happened, and like 2 days later they rushed into my mother's home and arrested me for the murder. They came into my mom's house and they was actually saying I was involved in a robbery or something. So a lot of people ask me like, yo, why would they come for you with things like that? And I was thinking yesterday, like, what's the easiest way for me to kind of describe my character, the way I was growing up, so y'all can understand, due to the fact it's like a hip hop show, or this is a hip hop show. So I try to put it in terms of, y'all ever seen B Street?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like the Lee. Understand what I'm saying? Like in my community, like I was actually like the lead. Like anybody that know me from around my way, they know me. I wasn't no angel. I got in a little mischief, but I wasn't out here killing nobody or nothing like that.
You wasn't old dog from Menace.
No, I wasn't nothing like
Okay.
that. You know what I'm saying? I don't wear that type of badge on trying to front like I'm something that I wasn't. Actually, you know, I was actually real good in sports, like playing ball and gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
And but due to the fact that I was good in basketball, I was accepted by an older crowd. So I started hanging out with older crowd, and I fell into certain, you know what I'm saying, measures of peer pressure while I was out stolen cars and shit like that. But make a long story short, one morning in 1991, Louis Scarcella and a gang of his officers rushed into my home when I was still living in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, and they accused me, well, they told my mother they was taking me down for a robbery. I was involved in a fight. As soon as they got me out of her jurisdiction, they started asking me questions about a murder, saying I was involved in a murder. They was asking me numerous questions, you know what I mean? And that's how it went.
It had nothing to do with you at all?
Nah, I wasn't there. I didn't have no knowledge of it, anything. Actually, when he was questioning me, they wanted me to give them information that I didn't have or couldn't give them, and they took me down to the precinct.
With no lawyer or anything?
No lawyer, nothing.
Oh, you was 14. You didn't know nothing about that.
I was illiterate, actually. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in poverty. You know what I mean? I ain't never have a chance to meet my father, and my mother was naive to law at the time, and we was poor.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a crack epidemic. This one, crack was really heavy. You know what I'm saying? It had hit my home directly, but not my mom's and them. But it hit my household directly. It hit almost every household in our community, and. Well, I grew up right around the corner from Kingsborough Projects in Brooklyn. Mm. So if anybody know about the Hill, it was really, really crack infested at that time.
Mm-hmm. Whole New York was at that time.
Yeah, but I mean the Hill was the Hill. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, the whole New York, but the Hill was the Hill. Well, it was different for me because I grew up on Utica and St. Mark's, right? And then when I moved to Ralph and St. Mark's, that was on the Hill, and it was a totally different atmosphere from just them 2-block radius right there.
Mm-hmm.
So did the cops target you because they already were familiar with you from having had run-ins with the law previously, and then they needed to frame somebody for this?
To be honest with you, that's a question I kind of still ask to this day, because when we actually did get Scarcella on the stand after all these years, and we got him on the stand in 2016, at first he acted like he had no knowledge of the situation, like he didn't remember doing this to me, or he didn't know why they picked me up, or he didn't have anything to do with it. But after the paperwork was produced and they were saying that he was the lead detective, then he was basically acknowledged the fact, well, I should have been knew this, but he still didn't acknowledge or say why they focused on me.
Yeah, instead of trying to find the real killer, like
actually, it's a lot of things in my mind that make me feel like what made them wanna, but I didn't meet the body description, the weight. Like, they was looking for a grown man. They put me in a lineup with grown men. You know what I'm saying? I was a child. I was under 100 pounds, and I was maybe like 5'2". I was a baby. You know what I mean? They was looking for somebody like a grown ass man, like maybe your height, built, and weight now. I never lived to fit and fill that description because I'm a small dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm still a little guy.
Your trial was all one day too, right? Like, they brought you into court, and in one day, they had the jury and convicted you?
Well, I sat in Spofford for 16 months, going back and forth to court. But I had a lot of issues with the police. Like, I had a lot of issues with the correctional officers going back and forth to court because they looked at it like it was one of their brothers that got
killed.
So, going back and forth to court, for 16 months, when I did actually make it to court, thinking that was going to be I was thinking that the system was going to work in a way that when I did make it to trial, this is when it was going to be my truth. I had a lawyer that was actually suffering from dementia at the time.
Yeah, lawyer, public defender.
I had a 18B lawyer.
I don't know what that is.
18B lawyer is basically a public defender, but no, it's actually, but to my understanding, it's a lawyer that practices private practices, right? But they got to pay a certain amount of their taxes off, so the way they do it,
they take a certain amount of cases.
And they label that an 18B, so
Gotcha.
it's supposed to be better than a
public defender.
But in my case, it wasn't.
How you have a lawyer that has dementia? So he don't remember what he said the day before?
That's what they said. He wasn't.
That's crazy.
Actually, my co-defendant lawyer, Mr. Massey, that just testified in our hearings that just came up recently. A lot of truth didn't actually come out back then because, like she said, we sat there for 16 months going back and forth to court, and then we got there. Our trial was a one day. It's unknown in the legal books. It's like it's no other case like this. It's unheard of.
One day.
It's like in the magnitude of the case that we was under, it was impossible for them to actually, have a trial like that. Like, we was actually railroaded, but it was more to it than that. Like, they was sweeping us under the rug. Like, I had one of the biggest media cases of that in 1991, but when we went to trial, nothing was covered. Like, it was it was no media coverage.
Well, they got you. That's what the paper said. I'm sure the paper was like, they got you. They got the killer of the 14-year-olds, and it was under the rug. That's all they cared about at that time.
Exactly.
Especially during the crack era.
So I still wonder why they wanted to frame you, though, instead of focusing on finding the real killer. Did they ever find the real killer?
No,
Nope.
they didn't.
Wow.
And that's one of the problems I found with the justice system right now. And a lot of people was asking me how I felt, the day that I got exonerated, right? And I explained it was a bittersweet feeling for me because after all these times, they didn't apologize to me and actually say, we apologize for what we did. And questions like he asking right now, I wouldn't have to answer because they would be answering that, why they did it to me. You understand what I'm saying? Because they know what they did to me.
They knew what it was. They knew they needed a body. They knew that you guys didn't have any money. They knew that you were uneducated, and they knew it was an easy win. And that's what it was. And at that time, they needed, crime was so bad and drugs were so bad.
To be totally honest,
they
with
needed
you,
to close it out.
Which
is horrible.
My mother was she was always a hard worker, but she used to drink alcohol a little bit. So when this shit happened to me, it kind of sent her into depression. So now I'm in a position where my mother want me home, but she's emotional, depressed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't got no pops, and none of my family ever really experienced this kind of trauma. You understand what I'm saying? So I gotta my father's side of the family was kind of well off, but my grandmother and them was older. They ain't really understand this shit like that. So my financial backing was I was fucked up.
Right.
Did the city pay you off?
Nah, they ain't pay me off. I actually was just exonerated a couple weeks ago.
That's crazy. What brought the
I
exoneration
saw this all
on?
in the papers.
Huh?
What brought the exoneration on?
Actually,
The cop turned out to have been a dirty cop, right? And they were did they investigate him?
Now, what brought the exoneration on, I would say it's a lot of things. Because in my case, they actually threw out the evidence, the DNA evidence that could have proved my innocence before I actually put in my initial appeal. That means like when I say lock you away and throw away the key, that means they lock you away and throw away the key. So after they convicted me on my trial, before I could actually appeal their decision, they already had diminished or say the evidence that could prove me innocent no longer existed. And then when I actually had my hearings of recent, they said Hurricane Sandy destroyed the evidence. And we know that didn't happen back in 1991. But make a long story short, right? Or try to make it short. Where was that? I got lost for a minute.
You said the Hurricane Sandy destroyed the
Yeah, before that.
evidence.
How you ended up getting exonerated?
Yeah, how'd you end
How
up
you
getting
got
All right.
exonerated?
What happened was every innocent program that actually ever existed in New York State, my mother reached out to them at some point while I was still incarcerated, wrote them and everything. So my files was in the Innocent Project. But what happened was they kept on saying, well, we only could get to a certain point, but if we don't have this evidence, we can't go any further. So they had me take polygraph testing by some of the biggest big wigs of like they have of this government. I'm talking about the same people they had investigate Bin Laden and them who came to see me on some real shit. Gave me polygraphs and all that. And I passed everything. After I passed the polygraph test, it was like they gave me they were saying, well, we got this part, but it's still other things that's blocking you in that we can't go forward with my case. So, you know, at some point I was upstate and I kind of like gave up on like certain parts of it. Like I started feeling like, yo, you know, this is gonna be my life. Like I was big, you know what I'm saying? I look at it like this, like I almost let that shit become me. Like I almost became a monster in it. You know what I mean? Like prison is predator or prey, and I'm not into letting nobody do nothing to me and take nothing from me. So, like anybody that know me through on my bed, they know I'm stand up. Like I stand up for. I never claim like how you said I ain't going there. I'm some murderer, do something I ain't never do. I'm never going to say I did some shit I never did. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not no sucker. So you know when I got in prison, it was like a seesawing experience for me. It got where I became real negative at some point because I felt bitter and angry in the fact that I ain't feel like I was ever gonna make it out of there.
Right.
And then
And at 14, you weren't in juvenile or anything. You were straight to prison.
well,
Or-
at first I went to juvenile, DFY, Department for Youth. But at 17, when Pataki and Giuliani came in, they sent me straight to prison.
Were you scared?
All in that bus ride, I went through a bunch of stuff. I went through scared. I went through being scared. I went through being emotional, and I went through to the point of me becoming aggressive. Actually, too. On my ride going to corrections, it was like, you know, it was different because DFY, you know, they was more hands on. It was like these people like kind of knew me, and it was like the staff. It was regular people. But going into the corrections, like, you know, the fear unknown, and then you always got the thing of like one of the biggest things is, you know, you always hear out like somebody gonna rape you and all that type of shit, and you gonna get cut. Like in DFY, it was more we'd fight if we had issues. But when you going into that atmosphere, you know, I hear the stories. You know what I'm saying? Like it's razors,
Right.
it's knives, and you know, and I'm a small guy, so you know when they think, yo, you know, and you know, due to the fact I had the kind of case I had, you know, they was
The corrections officers were on you because they thought you killed a corrections officer.
I had a bullseye on my back. Like,
I'm surprised they didn't kill you in jail. The cops.
It was some close calls. They damn near killed my co-defendant in Attica. They knocked all his back teeth out.
Ooh.
When I was going back and forth to court, they broke my nose. They beat me up pretty bad. But it was I learned how to bid to the point where, like, after a while, I think like I did 17 years. So when I would get into a jail, I would have like a big conflict with the police from when I first initially get in there. But like after they seen how I move on my character, like, you know, they would give me my space. And then I never was with no gangs and no religion type shit. Like to me, religion is a gang like in prison too. You know what I'm saying? Not to knock anybody religious belief, but I never was down with none of that. Like I always ran on my own. I was like Brooklyn orientated, like dudes that know me. And if you not really no knucklehead and you not like kind of get around the officers, like, you know, after the initial like when you first get to a facility, you could kind of like swerve your way around it. Like I wasn't moving like no knucklehead. I was on like my grown man stuff like early in the game because it's like I grew up in prison, so you know it's like a person go through elementary school, middle school, then prison was like that for me. Like me going facility was like my elementary, junior high school, college type shit.
Now, what did you do in prison? Did you read? Did you look up on your cases?
You learned how to read, right, while you were in jail?
I learned how to read when I went to prison because when I went in I was illiterate. After I blew trial, after they convicted me, it was a time period where I wanted to communicate with my mom because me and my moms didn't have a real good communication when I first got locked up. So, you know.
Did she believe that you were innocent when you first got locked up, or did she have doubts?
My mother knew I was innocent because I was actually home when it happened.
Right.
So, my mother always been by my side. Like she ain't never not let down. She always. That's one thing about my situation. Even though we went through ups and downs, like my mother never like left me out there by myself. So I always had my mother supported that she ain't really know her way around the system like that. And due to the fact that she knew I was innocent, that I was home, like that's what gave her even more.
Right.
You know, like she know I ain't do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like when they snatched me up and was saying robbery, fight, she was like, tell them what they want to know. You know what I'm saying? But when they started talking about that night,
murder,
fight, that night when it happened,
like,
she knew
impossible.
I was because I was in the house. And not only that, right? It was people that actually this particular night that they claimed that this incident happened. It's people on my block. It was a big fight or some shit that happened on my block. Everybody, the girls and all that shit that was out there, they knew I went upstairs. And these people was interviewed and all that. They never even brung them out. They act like they never existed. Like ain't nobody come up and say none of this stuff.
So your lawyer,
but it was no weapon. There's no evidence.
No physical evidence at all?
No physical evidence at all.
So they convicted you with nothing.
Convicted me with nothing.
That's some crazy stuff.
They at one point I believed that like they had a hard on for like my co-defendant because he had like a reputation. He was older in my community, you know what I'm saying? And he had runners with the law a lot. And when I got arrested, they was asking me a lot of questions about him that I ever seen with a gun.
And they wanted you to turn on him.
They wanted you to turn on him, right?
And I couldn't. It wasn't nothing for me to tell him that I didn't know. I wasn't there. If he was, you know what I'm saying? When they was talking about crime, they was talking about. I wasn't there at the time the shit supposed to have occurred, so I couldn't give them some information that I didn't know. I didn't even know that it actually happened until they actually brought me into the facility. I mean, into the precinct and start questioning me about the shit.
Is your co-defendant out too?
Yeah, he just got exonerated like 2 weeks ago as well.
Wow.
What about a spiritual foundation?
He did 24 years though. Wow. It took him almost another 8 years to get out after I was released.
That's crazy.
I only got released because another inmate tried to rape a staff in Elmira in 2005, and I stopped him from doing it because I was facilitating ART and transitional services in Elmira Correctional Facility. So my supervisor up there, she had a caseload and things like that. Like everybody in the state know about it, like, you know what I'm saying? And there was a dude in there who was a predicate rapist. And I guess the officer left his post, and she had a call out. So when the dude came up there on the call out, wasn't no officer right there, so he wound up making it into a room with closing the door behind him. He hit her in the head with a paper puncher.
Damn.
And he crushed the windpipe, stripped her, but he wasn't able to penetrate her because we intervened before it actually got to that point. And
how'd you know he was in there? You saw him go in? Or?
What happened was the officer came back up because we had classrooms up there. You know what I'm saying? It's like a corridor because we had like 3 different classrooms we was teaching. It's ART. So ART is anger regression training anyway, but we was teaching the classes up there and shit. So when the officer came back up, he was on it like, yo, did we see her? Like, where Miss, I don't want to say her name, you know what I'm saying? But he was asking where she was at. And my response was like, what you mean where she at? But then automatically my antennas went up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, it wasn't like I was the head supervisor, facilitator up there, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like running shit. I was in charge, you know what I'm saying? So when he asked me that, it was like, yo, Bunn, come on. So, you know, then make along my instincts, you know, that said go down that way. I opened the door, and cause I guess when she had like a small window on her door front, so once he turned out the light, when the officer came back up, he looked in the door and seen the light was off and never went in, and that's you know what I'm saying. But Duke was in there already. He had closed the door and he already had started.
And you kicked the door open, or they opened the door, or
no? When we went back down the hallway, I just tried the knob and the door was open.
And he was on top of her or something.
Nah, he was in the corner. He tried to come out the door. I don't really want to go to do
Yeah,
much.
I feel.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
That's crazy. You how did you even keep your faith that you were gonna come home, or did you ever think you was gonna come home?
I didn't. Like I told you, at some point I had given up hope that I was actually going. I thought I was going to do a quarter. I was bidding, so I was just looking at it like, you know, probably gonna do like 25 years before they give me a shot. Like, you know, I was looking at like a life term for a juvenile was 25 years. So once I make 25 years, they give me a shot at parole, because I was making parole every 2 years, but every time I went to parole, I maintained my innocence. I told them I'm not gonna admit to a crime I didn't do, you know, and
Shit.
that's, you know, they kept hitting me for my crime, and that wasn't never going to change. So I just put my mind as, you know, I started getting family trailers before I actually came home. So that was kind of like bridging the gap for me. Like I spend time with my moms and them over the weekend. She come cook, you know, and shit like that. So I was bitten, man. And then, like, even when I was let go, I wasn't even mentally equipped to be out here, because I didn't understand. Like, you know, I was
Institutionalized.
I was institutionalized. So
Especially at such a young age, 14, when you went in, you hadn't even had the opportunity to, you know, learn
I'm
a lot.
still institutionalized to a certain degree.
I mean, because you went in at 14, you wasn't even developed as a man yet. You
Just 2 weeks ago, when they was asking me like, what you gonna do after this? Like, my whole life been fighting for my freedom so much. Like, I ain't even know what the fuck to do after this. Like, what I do now? Like, I started my own organization, so that been my thing. Like, after I got it, so I've been pushing out. You know what I mean?
A voice for the unheard.
That's right, a voice for the unheard.
do you believe in God?
I believe in God. I just don't believe in religion.
Yeah, me too.
So, you know, I believe God is in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know God is real, because, like, every time I get to a point where I can't go forward, God push me to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And I just keep on going. You know what I mean? The devil will always be knocking, though.
Even when you was in jail and you was like, I'm here for a crime I didn't commit. I got cops beating up on me. You still had a faith in a higher power even then?
When I was in prison, my grandmother's Jehovah Witness. You know what
I
I'm
grew up
saying?
Jehovah's Witness.
So me too. Like, I always believed in, like, well, I always know God is real because the way I came up, and I just know He's real. Sometimes I used to ask Him, like, you know, like, why me? You know what I'm saying? But when I used to write my uncle, he used to be like, yo, you know, that's a question only he can answer. But right now, I look at it different. You know what I'm saying? I just look at, like, you know, a message come through certain people, and if I can make a difference for the youth or other individuals. Like, it was a time where I grew up, you know, I was idolizing a certain type image and coming up. Street.
Drug dealers,
And-
absolutely.
And I think, like, in our mind coming up in our community, we think like the street or the drug dealers is a way for us to actually change our reality that's gonna make it out. But that shit really just drowns us back in.
We see the jewelry, the cars,
Yeah.
and the money, and them riding up and down the streets.
In my neighborhood, it was guys, like, I mean, I guess every neighborhood, every hood got a certain, like, big
drug dealer, right?
Yeah, but it was some guys in my hood that was kind of like big, and they still is big. If you, like, in the street dynamic of it, they name still hold merit.
weight, right?
But, like, I feel like I'm realer than them. Like I know I'm realer than them, like, to a certain degree, because I feel like these dudes ain't never stand for nothing. Like, since I came home, like I've been out here making my own kind of difference. You know what I mean? And, like, before the Exoneration stuff even came about, like, I've been me. Like, I'm really me. This shit ain't no animated shit. This shit authentic. And, like, I seen, like, me coming home and, like, being in the community, like, me trying to push these guys in a certain direction. If they had something to do, like, they'd do it. And I feel like that's realer and that's tougher than me standing for something. Because I know if I want to push some drugs and shit down their line, they'd be willing to jack that. But by me going by the other way and standing up, yo, it's like a real little, like a little dude from my hood that I know is thorough the other night. Text me in the middle of the night and it's like, yo, you know, like, he like, yo, you making it cool to let certain shit out. Like, he seen the video when I was in court and seen me crying. He's like, yo, that shit was real. Like, you let it out and then you making it cool. He's like, yo, you changed my whole mentality on where I seen shit. And these is the real little dudes that I know is thorough. This shit ain't no, that I know is thorough. You know what I'm saying? And, like, to me, I just feel like when you know better, we got to do better now.
100%.
And, I consider myself tough. You know what I'm saying? I ain't afraid of nothing. Like, you know what I mean? I fear God. I only fear God because I know His power. Like, and I know what He did in my life. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the toughest thing for me to do is like stand for what's really real. And I think to me, what's really real is like, what I mean by that is like, when I was illiterate and I couldn't read, I put up a persona, an image to try to hide that factor that would cover that shit up with aggression and things like that. And I know a lot of individuals got a lot of issues. And, you know, I think that education, like if we really took time out to like deal with the issues that we have with literacy and a lot of education lacking, the education part of it, and like be real with ourselves instead of trying to be like, oh, well, I'm tough. I think like we could really like move forward like in the community and as a people, and we could show these kids like what's really real. Yeah. Like I love rap music and I love what it stands for. Like I come up under that. You know what I'm saying? I just think like every other culture or every other ethnic background got like a culture to them. Like they could speak about, like if you Spanish, you could speak about Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico, or if you Jamaican, you could speak about Jamaica. Things like black people, like due to the fact of our history from slavery, we got stripped of our
100%. So
hip hop is like our culture is something that we created our own here on this own land. Like that show how amazing we are, how magical we are, right? And it's like even when like the tough guys was coming up back in the days, like G-Rap and Slick Rick and all of them, like they had a message in their music. You know what I'm saying? And my whole thing is like today they shouldn't be promoting genocide because that shit is whack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we promoting killing each other and that shit ain't really about nothing. You know what I mean? It ain't about nothing at all. And like, I think like, we need to like bring our culture back. Like when we say like bring hip hop back and all that, I just think like we just need to bring the culture back, like, cause that's the only thing we got to identify with us.
Learn our culture, period.
Yeah, learn our culture.
That's why I think Black Panther was so good, because it made a lot of people start being interested in Africa and, you know, where you're from, your tribe, what country you're from in Africa and stuff like that.
I didn't watch the movie.
You didn't see it? Okay.
I ain't go watch
But I think is you know, we appreciate you for joining us, but I think it's best what you said is we need other role models out there for those kids to see. Because, you know, growing up, that's what you seen. You seen the drug dealers. Those were the ones that had the jewelry, the cars, the girls, and the money, and that's what the kids wanted to be. You know what I mean? You didn't see the doctors on the block. You didn't see the lawyers on the block. You know, I thank God every day that Clue was a DJ, because, you know, when I was waiting for the bus, I seen Clue pull up in that car, and I said, yo, what are you doing? I want to know what you're doing.
Wikipedia said Clue was a gardener.
No, and Clue was a DJ, and, you know, he told me DJ, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be a DJ. He influenced me something positive, you know what I mean? And maybe if he was a drug dealer, I would have tried to sell drugs. You know what I mean? You just never know what somebody's path is, but you always, you know, need brothers like yourself and putting out there some good positivity out there. And we definitely appreciate you, especially all the stuff that you've been
Did you ever
through.
think about killing yourself in jail?
It's a funny question, right? No, it ain't a funny question. It's actually a real question. But the day I blew trial, right? It was like, they had, like, it took everybody out the courthouse and shit. And it was just like me and my co-defendant there. So it's like when we was walking back to the cells, it was like everything had got like dark around me, but I could see I could see what was going on in front of me, but the whole other shit had got dark. So this the first time they had ever put us in cells that was facing each other. So they put us in the parallel cells, and we was still waiting for our go back. And he had took off his belt. He had asked me, he said, yo, what we gonna do? We gonna kill ourselves or we gonna fight this shit? And I told him I ain't wanna die. I wanted to fight for my life.
Yep.
Ever since then, like, you know, I just been fighting for my life, bro. Like, killing myself ain't never been an option.
I have a couple of questions.
I wanna live too much to kill myself.
100%.
Were there any repercussions for the police officer for Scarcella? Anything happened for him lying?
As I know of right now, they just put out an article in the Daily News maybe like a week ago right after I did an interview, and they were saying like he's retired with his pension and all of that. But I try not to focus too much on Louis Scarcella, on like what his life is about and what they're gonna do, because I like I said, I done had to focus on that all these years. And my mother always say, like they say, let go and let God. So I figured if I still focus on what they gonna do to him, like, I'm still allowing him to drown me in his misery.
I'm just wondering if there's repercussions when things like that happen, when police officers frame people or lie and do things like that. Like, it should be something that happens, because something would happen to us, you know, as citizens. And then for yourself, is the city gonna do anything to
No compensation, you said, right?
compensate you?
I have options. Of course, I try not to speak about them, like you know, but I definitely do have options, and I'm weighing them out.
Because I know you have your foundation, but what is this what you're gonna dedicate yourself to, or are there other things that you know you want to get into?
The Voice for Unheard is a literacy program, and actually over the last year, because I got actually had my conviction vacated in 2016, November 30th. So since then, like, it was like a new birth for me. It actually allows me to just, I was free or parole. I never been out here and be free or parole where I ain't have to piss in a cup or report every 2 weeks. For the last 10 years, I've been reporting every 2 weeks to a parole officer since I've been out here. So, you know, I started an organization where I could start going into prisons and speaking and telling them about my story and what was going back on. Also, I started a book drive where I collected over 20,000 books over the last year, so I could send books inside back to dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, to might not have anybody on the outside to look out for them. So I started sending them back. And then I knew about on Ragged Island, like it was a lack. Like, they ain't have no libraries really on like Ragged Island. Like, I started my own library on Ragged Island as of right now. So I've been pushing that, and that's what actually been keeping me going, because at first when I got my conviction vacated, they attempted to appeal. Well, they didn't attempt to appeal. They did appeal it. So I was still in limbo at the time where, you know, I was on parole. Had my conviction vacated, but they wasn't, you know, they was still having me going back and forth to court. So it was therapeutical for me actually going to speak to these kids and doing all that, instead of me living every day of my life on what they gonna do, because the shit would have drove me crazy. So
Therapeutical.
Yeah.
Therapeutical. You know, ever since I've been going back and forth to counseling here and there, but me going to the kids and going and speaking to them is like is cleansing for my spirit. It do something for me. Even when I go in there and I cry, I don't got nothing to hide from them. I can let it all out. I walk out of there, I feel good. If they take a magazine from me, and by the way, I want to shout out Source, Lundell McMillan. Like, he been having my back since like day one, like since like the week I started this book drive. With the likes of Rachel Norlinger, he reached out to me and gave me like 20,000 magazines to start me off with. You know what I'm saying? I've been running around everywhere. He gave me the power to, you know, like I had the juice. And
how can they donate to your books?
I have a you could go to my website. It's www.avoice4unheard.org.
Okay.
All the information is up there. I have a retired correctional officer actually got down on my team, and he had a house. So when I told him what I was trying to do, he allowed me to use his house where I could actually send all my books there, and he stores them down in his basement.
That's dope.
And things like that until I'm able to
That's great.
distribute them wherever I'm gonna take them.
That's dope.
And then my lawyer's son and them, when they seen what I was doing, he got down with me and they helped me. That's how I got my website built, because they good with all that computerized stuff. So my lawyer's son, shout out to George Garber, man, good looking for everything. And Billy Burns, they got down with me, and they built my website for me. And ever since then, I just been pushing out, man. You know, I get behind myself. I got a part-time job on the weekend, and my week is, you know, dedicated to my organization.
What's your part-time job?
I work as construction. Well, I work on a construction site, but I'm doing like security, just washing concrete and shit like that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us, brother.
Yeah, man. Very interesting story.
Absolutely.
Thank you
John
for having
Bunn.
me. I appreciate
We
y'all for having
appreciate you
me.
for coming through.
All right.
Thank you.
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.